frog. You get a funny feeling afterwards.
Yeah.
You're okay. Don't worry, man.
Well,
I'm all good.
Just trying to get those black SUVs to pull away from the driveway.
That's it.
I think there's one out front. Last over the weekend when I was on Motormouth Radio, I had difficulties, and the black SUV was out front for a while. So I'm all for government improvement of our country. I'm there.
Yes, sir.
Hey, enjoy your resources. Take a dip in the lake. Make sure you take your extension cord with you when you jump in. You know, we got to stay positive. Electricity.
Yeah, make sure it's plugged in somewhere before you jump in the water.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I just run out of that 50 feet real quick. So, yeah, we're good. Don't worry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew, I got a lot off there. Okay, I'm still.
Do you feel better now?
I'm starting to. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still a little lightheaded, but I'm all right. Don't worry.
Yeah, he's on a mission. Sounds like over there, Brian.
No, that's what happens when you drive around all day in a truck by yourself, and everybody runs and hides from you. So
Hide and seek.
Don't get to talk to anybody. Got a lot on my mind.
Yeah. So we got something going on here in this, town park by me. They erected a stadium to hold this cricket tournament, right?
Cricket.
And international cricket tournament.
Oh, I heard about that.
Is the cricket World Cup?
They already got threats. They already got terroristic threats from somewhere in Europe, and it's going to be interesting to see. So the one day there's it's going to be from the 1st to the 12th, and the biggest day is going to be the 9th because that's when India plays Pakistan. Apparently, those are the two.
Oh yeah, ooh.
Yeah. So it ends up the radio station is literally right on the other side of the property kind of. So I might have to parachute in. It's a Sunday. That's the 9th. It's going to be 2 Sundays from now.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how that's going to. They said they made a no-fly zone out of the area. I mean, they're really going nuts.
Wow.
I drove through there today and looked at it. It's crazy to see something so big where there was nothing.
You might have to armor up the FJ and get it ready.
I know.
Survival pack. Did you see? I think I saw where you liked the FJ that went through the mud with the 44s.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. I don't even know how they were able to turn that thing over.
I don't know. There's some crazy stuff. Crazy.
I want to give
see if you're on Threads. You'll see. I know I'm on Threads. I found out that when I make a post, I can automatically send it to Threads. So I'm like, yeah, do it. What the hell? I don't care. So if you bought it that way, you'll know why.
I want to give a shout out to my friend Big Charlie's Model Garage in the chat. He just had brain surgery about a week ago, and it was pretty extensive. And man, I tell you, me and Bill Cameron and a bunch of us have really held him up in prayer. This dude is at home now and in the chat. It's amazing.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Heck
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome he's in the chat. Not awesome he had to go through that.
Well, right.
Yeah, well, and that was a result of a semi-truck accident. He was a truck driver, and he had an accident, and it did something to his brain. It caused a cyst or something to form on his brain, and it got to where he was on a loop. He was like 10-second Tom from 51st Dates for a long time, and you'd start a conversation. 10 seconds later, he'd start it over again. So, but not now. He's back to being normal.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was hoping that he was around when Arco was around so I could say, hey, Big Charlie, he's gay and don't trust him. 10 seconds later, he'd forget. So.
Oh, man.
But
I had a situation back in 2011 where my heart went out of whack and they had to stop it 4 times, and then it was off rhythm, and they told me they wanted to shock it, and I said no. And about a day later, once they got the heart rate down, about a day later, they came to me about shocking it again, and I said, you need to knock me out. I don't want to feel it. Well, the stuff they gave me, I guess it's propofol. I think
Propofol,
it's a stuff that Michael Jackson died on, which
That's
the doctor of the wing comes in and he goes, I hear you're going in for this procedure. You know, they're going to shock you and get you right. And I said, yeah. And he goes, yeah, they're going to give you the stuff Michael Jackson died on. And I'm like, where's the bedside manner? Like, that's not what I want to hear.
Yeah.
But anyways, I guess it's an
allegedly. A legend. We don't know.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
But I guess it's an amnesiatic. So for that first weekend, because we were doing football camp or speed camp, and that first weekend that happened on a Thursday, they let me out Friday evening, I think, or maybe it was Saturday. Anyways, I was at football camp that weekend, and they were asking what happened, and I was 10-second Tom. I was telling them the story and everything. I was at work and everything that happened, and I went in the ambulance, and 10 seconds later, I'm telling the story. Hey, did you hear? So what happened was, so yeah, that was a little irritating.
Yeah, I had to have it done too. Scary.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, not fun. Well, the worst thing is I get in the ambulance. Well, they put me in it, and they're walking me through. We're gonna do this thing, and we're gonna inject you with this stuff. And I said, okay. And they said, and it's gonna stop your heart. And I lean up and I go, you animals, you're supposed to be saving me, not killing me.
Right.
And, you know, they're telling me, you know, you're going to feel this. And as soon as you feel it, let us know. And then you need to focus. They had two guys back there with me, and they said, you need to focus on him. He's going to get you, you know, focused on your breathing. Your heart will kick back on. And I said, you know what? I said, before we do this, can I have a minute? And they said, yeah, what's up? And I said, I'd like to talk to God for a moment. I said, because I'm not ready to go and meet him today. So I want to have a conversation with him and make sure we're on the same page.
I was just going to say that. Mike said, "Oh, don't worry, Isaac. You know, you may be speaking to him in a few minutes anyway. So talk to him in person."
Yeah, that was my concern. I was like, not today.
Good concern.
Right. Or you could have just woken up and been in a different state and a new name. So it's all the same. So don't worry.
Yeah. It could have been a girl named Jane.
That's right.
Well, I will tell you this. They stopped it twice in the ambulance, and then they stopped it twice in the ER. That fourth time, I literally was starting to sit up out of my body. Like I was laying there. So they're telling you to breathe. You're focused on the one person, and you're breathing almost like the pregnancy breaths that they tell the women to do. You're breathing, and all of a sudden I start sitting forward and sitting up, and I look up, I look around, and then all of a sudden my heart kicks on, and I slap back into my body. I mean, I didn't fully come apart, but I slapped back down, and I said, hey, Doc, can we stop doing this? It's not working. And that time I was sitting up, and my body wasn't sitting up with me. And I said, and that one hurt. I said, that one didn't feel right. It hurt. And the only way I can explain it when I say it hurt, it didn't physically hurt like a sharp pain. It felt like Velcro, like I was peeling apart like Velcro. And it just did not feel okay. And I was like, let's stop this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was definitely an experience I'll never forget.
Yeah. That's scary. Well, glad you made it.
Oh, I am too.
I just realized something, just as a total off subject, but I just realized something. Looking at this motley group of attractive gentlemen on the screen, you know, I guess we change with the seasons, but how come Joey's still wearing a freaking heavy sweatshirt with a hoodie?
It's cold here in Ohio.
Yeah, it's been cold the last few nights.
Yeah, the temperature dropped down to, it's 55 right now.
Yeah, it's 65 in the shop, but I got the door wide open. And
we're 63 outside.
So yeah,
It's supposed to be like
too bad here.
I think it got down to what?
down here tonight.
Justin, dude, you're getting sunburned.
Yeah, this is last week before I spent all weekend outside. 3 days, 7 a.m. to midnight.
Wow.
I got burned.
Yeah.
Must have been that moon burn.
Get all of it.
Yeah. Good.
That time of year.
Yeah, it's not sweatshirt weather here. We had 100 degrees again for
Wow.
They said, so I think at my house it was 100 degrees throughout the day, but they said at 5 o'clock it hit 100 degrees for 60 seconds, and the guys all excited again, and then talking about, you know, on this week's forecast on the 7-day, it's going to get hotter.
Oh.
We have one weather guy like that on Channel 9 here, Topper. This guy literally, you know, he's like a puppy. So excited, he's probably peeing all over the place. You know, there's a thunderstorm coming, and he just goes on and on and on, or the snowstorm, and he's been, you know, the main on that channel. He's been the main guy for, I guess, 30 years or whatever, and it's almost comical to listen to him because he is just over the edge about how disastrous he could be. I've never seen a guy so happy talk about how, you know, a tornado is coming through or a warning or whatever.
That's what he went to school for.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. Lewis, I knew there was something I was needing to tell you.
Yes.
So yesterday, on the 28th, my daughter went into unexpected labor 4 weeks early. And so we've been trading out and back and forth, me and the mother, taking care of her and the baby, helping out. I'm probably not going to get to come down there Saturday like I'd planned on. Because of that.
Well, what I was thinking, I'll do a video and do some measurements, and I'll even maybe do a CAD drawing of it.
That would work. Yeah, if you
Send
could
it
get
to you.
that done and over to me, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Get that fabricated up, and you can come pick it up or something.
So speaking of fabrication, something I was talking to Brian about yesterday. I was looking at my 55 Chevy out there the other day and saying, you know what? This car isn't going to get done the way I want it to get done. Just ain't going to happen. So I said, okay, what are my choices? And the first one was like, so do it the way it is, as ratty as it is. And you can use a stop sign for a floor pan if you have to. So that, because I have the engine and the tranny and the rear, and I'm gonna go for it. I got a guy up the corner. He's got a roller cam for a big block that I'm gonna buy off him. Put a tunnel ram on it. I'm gonna try and get the sniper off my buddy that bought the one where I got my two. There was another one and he took it. I'm gonna see if I can buy that for him because I don't think he's gonna use it. But I got to figure out steering and suspension and brakes. And I was talking with Brian. I have some spindles off a Colonnade, 73 and up GM, but they use the larger ball joints and tie rod ends. So I got to see if I got to find a way, if it's possible, to adapt that stuff, because I'd like to use the stuff I already have, and I'm going to do this thing kind of on the cheap.
You know, Ray, after I got off the phone with you and talking, you know what you need, because anything is adaptable after you buy a welder.
And you can make it look good with an angle grinder.
Well, that's
so
true.
I mean, a welder, you can make anything fit.
That's true. That's not out of the question. Not out of the question.
And maybe only one time put together, and just hope the part doesn't wear out. I would use something old instead of something newer, because everything new is kind of crappy right now.
Yeah. So I was talking to my buddy up the drive shaft place, and he was talking about steering, and I said, I got to get that steering box out, because the box and the column is one piece. He goes, well, what do you got? Why? I was like, because it's a crappy box. So he says, well, change the box, cut the column, put a Borgenson joint in with a stub shaft, and there you go, adapt it to the box. Like, ooh, that sounds brilliant. All right, I can do that.
As long as it doesn't turn out as crappy as those cars that Kiwi finds. I don't know how in the world, that last video that you sent me, dude, everything on that car, I cannot believe anybody sold that car, but not to change it, but that's That's the only problem. That's what he's talking about with those guys putting those racks in those Mustangs. They get that angle wrong. That's
exactly. That was a perfect example of that. And he didn't use the right oil pan, so the engine sat up, and that's why he had everything had that tolerance stack up. But because of one thing, something else had to change, and something else had to change. And it even went down to the cosmetics with that hood scoop, and it was done for a reason because the engine was sitting way too high, and they needed a giant hood scoop. So, yeah. So,
but even the one prior, when the guy was talking about the vibration or the lock in the steering wheel, that's the same thing that you would have to do when you cut. You just got to make sure that you're not at a harsh angle or a funny angle.
Well, yeah, in this case it wouldn't be because it is a nice mild. Now, my buddy was telling me that with the 55, if I was going to use the big block with under chassis headers, there's a box fitment issue, and cylinder number 3 becomes like the tube becomes like half a tube. I hate doing that. And it was funny because he gave me a set of headers years ago. He goes, I said, I really want to use fender wells. He goes, I gave you a set of fender wells. I was like, no, you didn't. They were under chassis headers. He goes, no, I bought fender wells and I gave you a set of fender. So I actually climbed up into my loft yesterday before I called you, Brian. I pulled one of them out. And believe it or not, like if you hold it one way, it kind of looks like it under the chassis header. But if you turn it around the other way, it becomes a fender well. So I got the fender wells.
You should technically get them, just mount them backwards so they come up out of the hood. That's what you want.
There you go.
Big zoomies.
Along with the tunnel ram and the headers coming straight out of the top. Just have everything come right out of the top. Don't worry about anything else.
I'll tell you the truth. You can run a tunnel ram under the hood of a 55 Chevy. It fits.
Still have room to close the hood, right?
It fits under the hood. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's but yeah. So yeah, I'd like to find some fenders. I'm going to be meeting with the Mustang guy this week. He wants to do some filming, I think, on Saturday. So I'm going to ask him about fenders for your car. And watch, he'll probably say, "Yeah, I've always wanted a set of Hypo 289 heads."
Yeah, well, I got stuff to trade, but hopefully the other dude comes around.
That'd be nice.
Does anybody have any headers for a Chevy pickup?
No, but they should be, again, that should be pretty easy to get.
What'd you say?
For your 1500? Yeah.
Headers for my 06 Chevy.
Oh, the LS. That's a LS. Yeah, no. Marketplace usually is where you find stuff like that.
Yeah. I haven't looked. You guys were talking about them, so I figured I'd throw it out.
Yeah.
What's it having? Is it a 5.3 in that thing?
Yeah.
Those are nice compact headers on those LSs. So I wonder how much variation is there between engines or body styles, and I wonder.
I have no clue. I'm a customizer, not a motor guy. Right. I have no clue.
You probably have more leeway because you're in a truck chassis. You could use something that was made for like different cars and make it fit because you have more room than a car has. Mm-hmm. I would think.
Yeah.
A little duct tape and a butter knife, we can get it to fit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably make a header for that. I'm sure they do.
Yeah. I think
but yeah.
I have a news announcement. Arco is in chat trying to convince me that Heidi hates me, and I'm like, no, she loves me because I'm the only one that gets under your skin. So yeah.
You know what? Why are Arco and Heidi not on the screen? That's the question.
Yeah.
Probably working while they were in chat a minute ago.
Yeah.
So, and Brian, the answer to your other statement about a welder is, as you're doing all your cleaning it up, you unearth one, and I'll pick it up. Because when I use a good welder, I immediately become 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
Before you stick it on that scrap truck.
Actually, I've got it.
Get that one from Temu. That looks like a little handle.
It's this big.
A little gun.
I probably have one here, Ray, if you need one. I got a couple. I
got
got that one. I mean, I have that older Snap-on one that I've had forever, and I bought another new one 2 years ago, I guess it was, to supposedly retire the Snap-on one, and I still find myself using.
There we go.
There we go, right there.
That's
Stick
small.
welder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
We were still supposed to talk to those the who's that Arco got that welder from? Yes welders.
Yes, welder.
My buddy bought one of them and really likes it. But
Yeah, it worked pretty nice. Arco brought his here.
yeah, I think Saturday when I go down to the shop, I'll bring the Fiat with me, and because I got to weld in the upper shock, pull down.
Still haven't done that?
No.
Oh my goodness!
Drive with
That's
3
been a
shocks.
while.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's only been 2 years.
3
But,
welders.
I got to weld that. And I collected a couple of big washers so I can find something that I can weld in and then put that shock back in. Yeah, I got to do that.
Yeah. I have all.
I'll do it there
yeah.
because they have one of the welders at the shop. They have that Matco welder, which I don't know if anybody's using that. I don't know who's using what there anymore. But they have a Miller that as soon as I strike that thing, I get good.
Yeah.
It's just
Millermatic.
it's effortless. Yeah, it's just such a nice welder.
It's a great
That was the
welder.
one I told you. One of the body guys years ago he was just doing some tack welding on a quarter panel, and all of a sudden it was burning. And he was like, the welder's bad. Welder's bad. I'm like, what do you mean welder's bad? Burning. I said, well, what do you have it set at? Oh, I don't know. He goes, and this is all in broken Ecuadorian English. He was blaming the other guy for using the welder who probably changed something. So I said, well, look, you know how you do this? I opened the side door and I said, let's look what our wire size is. Let's look at our metal gauge. I said, let's do this and let's set this where it says to set it. I said, try that now. And he was like, he looked at me like, oh, you fixed it. I was like, dude, all you gotta do is read, just pictorially, I could show a kid could do this.
You're asking him to read from Ecuadorian to English.
But it was pictorial too. You didn't even have to read anything.
I have all Yes welder products now. I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, out of that stuff that you have, you don't happen to have a 911 front suspension set up, do you?
I got pieces and parts, but I don't have a whole suspension.
Like, I guess supposedly you could swap it over on a 914 for a 5-lug conversion or something like that.
Yeah. I don't have anything complete or enough. I got
to buy
a handful of
expensive
pieces.
wheels.
Yeah. Actually, I need to go and dig through my wheel pile and see what I have for you, Isaac, because
I was going to send you a picture of what I was looking for.
Yeah, I got, like I said, I've been, well, actually, I guess, I didn't even tell you, Ray, what day was that? Saturday? Saturday, we finished up and we were cleaning up, and of course, like I said, the backyard no longer looks like a bomb that had gone off because everything's clean up, everything's in the dumpster, and it's now like a working scrap yard. I've got my piles of places. I've got this. I'm telling everybody this goes over there. We're keeping this, chuck this. I got all that stuff going. We had endless amounts of power tools going because I got the saws going, cutting the wood up so everybody can handle it. The whole 9 yards, and the running joke was who was the first person that was going to get the tetanus shot, because they're getting the nail stuck in them, So to make a long story short, we get all done, and I had told my mom to come by Saturday, and we'll grill up some hamburgers and hot dogs and whole 9 yards. So I'm running a little behind, in a hurry. I run into the kitchen. I grab a big fat tomato, and I grab the mandolin to slice it. And the tomato rolls off and slice a third of my thumb off, and I'm the one that got the shot and 9 stitches.
Nice.
So that kind of put a hold on Sunday, and everything is slowly getting around because now my thumb is feeling better now.
Wow.
But I took a big chunk out, and
so you won the bet.
I won the bet. Yeah. I mean, I had to go get the shot.
What'd you win? Stitches.
Nails and stitches. So that was my weekend.
Congrats.
On my Memorial Day. So I figured that, unlike Joey, unfortunately, I'm sorry, but I'm 57 and I still have all my body parts. So,
all right.
Yeah, well, hey, at least I ain't crying over my thumb, okay?
Yeah, well, the only problem is, it's too bad it wasn't my left, because being right-handed, it's really a pain in the ass to try to tie your shoes. I had to wear my old man shoes with no shoelaces the other day, and everybody laughed at me when I was on the route.
So how did you cut your right thumb? That means you were using a mandolin with your left hand?
I was holding it, and I had the tomato in my right hand, and as soon as I put it down, the tomato rolled under, and my thumb went first.
No, I got that part. It's just I'm kind of a student of, because I'm like this too. I'm righty, but I do certain things lefty by nature. Like when I solder or weld, I do it like a left-hander. It's just what feels better to me. So I'm thinking, like, if I had a tomato, I would put the tomato with my left hand and use the mandolin with my right hand, but you did it the opposite way.
Yeah, well, our little it's I don't know what it's called, but it's not, like I said, it's not a traditional like one that stands up. It's in a plastic box. You know what I'm saying? That sits down on the counter. Yeah. And like I said, I normally just use a knife. I don't even. I thought this would be so much quicker, just going shoop, 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 and it was quicker, but unfortunately,
my son did the same thing.
Yeah, it really pissed me off. So we spent 2.5 hours in the emergency room.
Great.
And last time. Huh?
You made your mother go hungry.
Yep. Yeah, well, she,
no hamburgers, no tomatoes.
So we had to do that we did that on Sunday instead, which, was no problem. But, again, so the activities in the yard kind of was a little off.
Well, I will say, for the fellas, I had Brian and Carl Anthony on Sunday. And we were talking about EV topics. Brian had a couple, Carl had a couple because he was at a conference, and I had a couple little pieces. So the show went over so well. I mean, people were emailing me and texting me how much they liked it, Jim being one of them. And the YouTube video is people are watching it. So I hate the damn topic, but I like, if you can find some interesting stuff to report on, I don't mind it so much. But it went over well. The show went very well. So,
Brian,
I only heard the last half, but the amount of information just on the last half was incredible.
Yeah. Well, Carl gets the real industry stuff because he goes to the industry conferences there in Detroit. And Brian pulls out some super secret White House documents that he found that weren't declassified yet. And we didn't ask him how he got them. So that's why he had the Suburban out in front of his house. They wanted their paperback.
Got those from JB's.
Brian's moving signal all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Am I fading?
He started freezing up. He did.
You probably got those out of the trunk of JB's Corvette.
Yeah. I'm not saying anything because I love the government and I love everything about it. And I'm a tree hugger and I just got done licking a leaf. So please.
And you survived a near-death experience with
I think that was a CIA setup. The mandolin to take a finger.
Now we know what happened to the thumb. The real story.
Welcome to the near-death family, okay?
So, Brian, speaking of that, we'll change the subject real fast. I got an email from Matco asking me to take this survey about tool storage. I said, okay. I don't have any Matco tool storage, so I'll tell them what I know, and and it was all basic stuff. How long you been in the business? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And they asked about what they wanted you to rate the common tool storage, like what you felt about them, like Matco, Snap-on, Mac, Cornwell. What else was in there? There was something else in there. And it was all like 5-part questions. What do you think about fit, finish, color, this, that, the other thing? And it kept going on and on. And it had a comments section. They were talking about price and then comments. And I actually dropped on. I said, they said, what do you think is the most, it was like the most common toolbox that you see around or emerging? What's emerging that you're seeing? And I wrote, I put that, I said, Harbor Freight. I said, U.S. General. I said, you can't go in the shop without seeing the U.S. General roll card. I said, and the guys I know who have Matco and Snap-on boxes, they have Harbor Freight U.S. General roll cards. Everybody has them. Probably because of the price. There's got to be some kind of a quality issue there if all these guys have it. I said, so their gain and everybody else's loss. So I was very honest with my comments, like I like to be. So I'm curious to see if I either get my account closed or they give me a toolbox. I don't know.
Well, they're convenient and not that bad of a price. I got one sitting behind me loaded with tools and a welder.
Absolutely, I understand.
Well, I tell them all the time because they asked us, and I said, you can't compete against it, and a lot of the guys, unfortunately, a lot of the mentality of this is they'll buy 2 or 3 of them before they actually all of a sudden then they say, oh, okay, well, this is my 3rd one and this doesn't hold up. Then they've already spent the money to buy the quality one.
Yeah.
And then they finally buy the quality one. It's just like floor jacks. We talk about this all the time. I got guys that have the Harbor Freight floor jack, and they have a pile of them. Yeah. I mean, literally, they have 10, 15 of them piled up because they last a year. If I get a year out of it because of the cost, if I get a year out of it, I'm ahead. That's how their mentality of it is.
Yep.
And it's funny. I had a tire shop. They finally bought one from me, and everybody fights over it because they don't have a problem with it. But they got 27 Harbor Freight ones.
See, if a company like Matco or Snap-on would be smart, they'd find out who's actually manufacturing those U.S. General boxes and buy the damn company.
Yeah. Well,
and now just market it. Keep the U.S. General name because everybody knows it. But now it's just sold by them. And then you guys, like say if Matco bought them, you could sell them off your truck, So, all right, so you sell 5 of those to one box. It's still money in your pocket, but they'd have to buy the company.
Hey, Brian, what fails on those Harbor Freight jacks?
The pumps.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they actually blow them out. I mean,
I'm looking over here
at
I'm looking over here at my Harbor Freight jack and going, uh-oh.
No, usually, I mean, unfortunately, and I've caught guys doing this, because they've even blown out our jack. I mean, they've blown out, our 3.5 ton jack. Because I'll go by, and the guy's picking up a box truck.
Oh God!
And he's picking up a box truck, and it'll do it. Trust me, I use the Matco one and to pick up the tool truck to do the brakes on it. I know that eventually one day I'm going to blow the seal out of it. I mean, I'm going to blow the pump. Okay. It's not meant for that much weight.
I got a question. Brian, you can probably help me with this. I don't know the name of it, but it's for taking a lug nut off of a big vehicle, and it gives you more torque or
impact wrench.
What is? No. It's something you do by hand, but it gives you more.
A torque, like a wrench extender. I'm thinking you just use a 4-foot breaker bar.
Yeah, but they make a. I got a bad back, so I got to.
You need one of those guns right there.
Well, no, what I'm saying is when I'm out on the road, it's an adapter you put on your wrench.
It's
Yeah,
like
oh
gear
my
driven
God.
or something, and it
Yeah.
like multiplies.
It's a torque
yeah.
multiplier.
Oh, torque,
Yeah, that's-
Is that what it's
Oh,
called?
yeah, torque.
They're still selling those IR guns.
Oh yeah, man, the old guns, man.
I just got this catalog today. I don't know if you ever heard of this place. It's called Wrenchers.
Oh, you know.
Never heard of them.
I don't know how I got on their list, but they got me on their list. And
I had to look into it, Lewis. I don't know. I know. I don't know right offhand about the multipliers.
have
Yeah.
I
seen
think
a
you
guy-
have a 20-year-old strong kid follow you around. Telling
About it too. I seen
Yeah.
another bus. They had one and they were using it, and I forgot to write down what it was, the name of it and stuff. So
Was it? Did they use a hammer to hit it with, or was it just regular
no, they put a breaker bar on.
Oh,
Yeah, I just like here. Granger has one. It's $1,600.
what are lug nuts on a bus?
Really?
Yes,
Jeez.
that is insane.
Have the idea, Brian?
I have no idea.
There's a link in the private chat.
But
I
you
just
guys,
did some search, so that's probably not even what you're looking for. But
Do you know what the lugs get torqued to on the bus?
I don't know.
No, Lewis.
Lewis,
Wait, say again?
Do you
What's
know
the
what
torque
what
specs
lug
on the
nuts get
bus?
torqued to on the bus?
No, I have no clue.
Probably
I
use
just-
that.
that would equate to how much force you needed to loosen them.
They
You
probably
guys
use
are-
that German torque spec, like Gudentite.
Guten
Yeah.
Tag.
good night.
Hey,
yeah, you
look, I had at the shop. They sent me a Mercedes SUV, and I know they had the wheels off there at the shop because they determined it needed front end parts, and they sent it to me to put the front end stuff in. I know the wheels were just off it. I could not get the wheels off. The factory says torque them to 150 foot-pounds, and these guys, I don't know what they did putting them on, but
They squeezed the handle one. I mean, they squeezed the trigger one too many times.
it just so happened that the guy that owns the shop, came down a little later on, and I said, "Listen," I said, "you were just at the other shop. Who put these wheels on?" I don't remember. I said, "Well, find out." I said, "Grab him, put him lift him up into the corner, and tell him, don't you put these things." I said, "Tell him to stop this." I said, "If this car's on the road somewhere, you never get the wheel off it." That's when I bought my 4-foot breaker bar. So I needed
when
a
you guys
4-foot
were
breaker
talking about floor jacks a little while ago, I didn't get to tell you because the conversation changed, but the floor jack I have is still one of the originals by Sears Craftsman. It's a 3-ton. It thing's a lug to pull around, but it's been reliable and awesome. It's from the 80s floor jack. Seriously, this thing is so old.
I have an old silver one like that too.
But it works perfect. I've never had a problem with it.
I had one of those. Joey, and I can't remember when, but about the third set of brake pads I put on the tool truck, I blew the piston out of it, and I couldn't find a kit to fix it because it was so freaking old. That was a great jack. It was the same one I had.
Yeah, I mean, I lift 2,500 and 1-ton trucks with it and never have.
Yeah, well, the tool truck is 17.5, so.
Oh, well, that's different. That's why it blew out.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got to bail. Gotta get up early, and I got guys.
Hey, man.
See you,
Thanks
Jim.
for hanging out with
Take
us.
care, Jim.
Hey,
I
Ray,
gotta
real
jump ship,
fast. I don't know if you saw that Keys to the Kingdom, that book came out by John Moss.
Oh no.
I thought that might be a good interview for you for the radio show.
If he's doing interviews, yeah.
Give Bill a call because Bill has him on speed dial.
Okay.
I just thought it was a good idea for you guys.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Jim.
All right,
Jim.
take care.
All right.
Good night.
Take
care, Jim.
So I'm going to jump ship too, but before that, I'm going to say that everybody in the chat, please go check us out on PowerTube TV, and you can watch all the greatest hits. And I just sent one over today that has our good friend is not with us anymore, John. So it kind of set me back a minute when I was sending it, but it was a good interview.
But you know what?
Yeah.
That's good because that's the way you keep the guy's memory alive. You keep talking about him. You keep in rotation, and you share it with the people who never had the pleasure of meeting him.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I was wondering, Ray, have you heard from his wife about any of his cars or parts or anything?
No,
Yeah.
I was talking with her. We were texting back and forth. It's a while ago now.
Yeah.
It was like before the winter. So, and she's like that. She keeps very private and to herself. So, like when she's ready, she reaches out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she doesn't. So, yeah.
I keep looking, like randomly on Facebook and see if there's any of his stuff, Trans Am. I'm like, I don't see anything, so I don't know.
Well, I know he told me before he passed
What's
that
happening with
there was
the
a friend of
parts,
his. There was a
cars.
friend of his that he was going to pass the car over to finish. I don't even remember who the guy was. I don't even remember his name.
It's funny that you say that though, Keith, because last week on my on my Facebook thing being emailed, it said John made a comment, and I was like, John,
what?
I was like, what the hell? And then I figured he might. I don't know if his account had gotten hacked or whatever, but like I said, it was just kind of spooky.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
because
spooky,
it was
yeah.
like I'm trying to think. I don't have that many. I don't have that many friends or people I know named John, even though I know it's a very common name. But so of course I go and click, and there's it's Chassis John liking something, and I'm like, well,
Wow.
that's kind of weird.
That is strange.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
I miss old John.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
All right, guys.
Hey,
All right, Lewis.
Lewis,
All right,
real
Lewis,
quick
take
before
care.
you jump.
Yeah.
Before you
I'll,
jump, sorry, I should have brought it up earlier, but I put it in the group chat. I got those Holly retro brights, and I got them in on the Blazer. I got them in last night. It took about maybe an hour to swap them in. I did it, and it might not have taken a full hour if I did it in the daylight. I did it with the flashlight. I couldn't wait to get them on. We had camp yesterday, so I had to do camp, and I came back. And but
Big difference. Big
difference.
I saw your pictures.
On the pictures I posted, the before and after, it doesn't do it justice. When you're out and about with the original lights and there's no street lights, it is dim as can be, like candlelight dim. And in fact, my wife was mentioning earlier how she didn't like driving it at night because she couldn't see. And I put these things on. I took that picture, and then I took it around the corner. I went over by the junkyards. There's a couple junkyards not too far from here, and I figured that's a good place where it's good and dark. And that thing, it lit up.
Nice.
I have to make a couple adjustments on it. I had a couple cars coming at me. Nobody flashed me, so I know it's not right in their eyesight. My right side one is up and to the right, but even still, the beam right in front of you, it's concentrated and bright, but then there's like a forebeam or foreshadowing beam, whatever, that lights up the road, but it's not overbearing. Like it's
got a
just
fan.
perfect.
Got a fan.
Yeah.
So, and that's in what year, Blazer?
It's a 95, and it's got the square headlights.
And you had no problem with the space on the passenger side? Passenger side, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was able to pull I was thinking I was
Battery.
gonna have to take the battery out. What I did was I pulled the harness back underneath and then got it out to where I could work with it. I did have to do a little bit of fabrication to the plug because you have two plugs that are straight on and one that's cantered, and I had to cut on that one to get it to go at a 90 degree.
So that truck does have headlight relays in it, right?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to pull up the
my buddy Kevin, the guy I go to cruise nights with, he came over last night. I lent him my JC Whitney headlight adjuster because he got the hidden headlights working on his 68 GTO. He put the electronic
Lewis.
Take care, Lewis.
He put the electronic door motors in instead of the vacuum.
Yeah.
But he took my advice and he did what I did, just sealed beam halogen headlights, but he wired in headlight relays.
Yeah.
And it
makes brighter.
It's like what you're seeing with those lights. You can't imagine how much more power goes to the light when there's no
Instead of
voltage
going through the
drop.
light switch. I mean,
When
that's
there's no voltage
I mean,
drop.
yeah.
You know, I did it to all of my cars, and he did his, and man, his lights are nice and white. So if you don't have them, take a look, and I can send you some diagrams, some schematics.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
actually I just watched a guy on Instagram. I saved the reel. Maybe if I could figure out how to post it. He had a really good drawing about putting in a 5-pin, the Bosch 5-pin,
All you need is one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a 4 or 5?
That's a 5.
Yeah.
Guys, I got a bill.
And an 87A. But I bought it off of
See you, Joey.
Amazon.
All right, Joey, take it easy.
Dropping
Okay.
quick.
Off
See you guys.
Amazon, I bought a set of I took a chance because it popped up in my feed and said you might like this. So it's a 5-pin Bosch style relay, but it has built into it I have one
The
right here.
fuse, built in.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I got some of those.
The
It's
fuse
neat.
is built in right here.
Yeah.
So the fuse is actually in the relay.
Yeah.
Not the socket. So and I put these in a couple applications too. So now, I mean, all that does is it saves you from running the wires for the separate, for the power fuse for the number 30 terminal. But
Yeah, this video I had a really good, the difference between 57A and 57B and how to have it cut, wire. So that's the biggest problem. Like in the state of Maryland, fog lights, when you have high beams on, the fog lights are supposed to go out, and you can't. That's that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's usually one of the reasons they get you because you're running around with your high beams and a fog light on, and so forth.
What would they do? What would they do with a guy like me who has yellow high beams?
Well, I'll tell you exactly because I had yellow headlights in the Mustang. Okay. And when I went by, I turned all the Montgomery County cars P yellow because they're white. And when I went by, there was P yellow, and I'd get pulled over, and they would all ask me why, because it was illegal because yellow headlights do not have the same reflection off of street signs or whatever. And it's against the law, or it's not. You get a citation for safety violation, and you have to change back over to your white headlights.
All right, so back to wiring and the relays. Just reminded me. Maybe Ray can help with this. I have a 2014 Chevy Sonic with the whatever's in there was 1.8 or something like that, and I want to rig the cooling fan to stay on all the time. Well, all the time with ignition. And I tried, just to figure out, what I had to do. There's a what is there? Not a capacitor. There's like a coil or something.
It's probably more of a thermistor.
Okay. So I tried to just, hot wire it and whatever fuse I used a 30 amp. It blew a 30 amp.
Woohoo!
So I was like, what the heck?
Why do you want that to come on with the key all the time?
Because there's something wrong with it, and when the AC comes on, the fans shut off.
Oh,
and then the car starts overheating.
All right, well,
I'll tell you this: he comes on.
I would imagine, being that the car was that year, the fan is controlled through the ECU,
right?
Through the temperature sensor and all that.
Yeah.
So that's your loop, and you're not going to really get into the ECU, obviously.
Yeah.
At that point, I would probably disconnect the fan wiring and go with an aftermarket transducer. They have one that goes like you loosen the clamp on the hose and just sticks into the hose, and you clamp it back down.
Oh, okay.
That's a common one.
Yeah.
Unless you have a well in the radiator, which you probably don't. And then
you're talking about the measure the heat.
And
just heat,
right,
so it comes on,
and just use. And then there's usually like a rheostatic controller that'll actually
turn
adjust when it comes on and off.
I'm trying not to spend a bunch of money on it. It's good. The car's beat up.
That's like just an accessory.
Yeah.
I put one of those in my 5.0 in my Mustang, where I had that, and then it had that kit had a bypass so that when you turned on the AC, it would run full all the time.
Right.
And I just left it where it was hooked to a switch where I didn't have to have the AC on. I just instead of hooking it to the AC compressor, I just hooked the switch underneath the dash and I could turn it and have the fan run.
Yeah. See, so my Cyclone, I had that when I originally put the dual fans on there. I had a switch, and then I had the thing where you adjust it, and I guess I had it adjusted wrong. Went to work, come out, fans are on. I go, oh, the fans will just stay on for a little bit.
all day later, and a dead battery.
Dead battery. I'm like, son of a gun. I'm like, what the heck? I jump it as soon as I started jumping. The fans are on. I'm like, oh, okay. So even now, when it gets hot, the truck's completely off, and the fans will kick on once in a while. Yeah. But it doesn't kill the battery. I don't. It's not set, so it'll kill the battery. But this car, the Sonic, I just want this thing just to. When I turn the ignition, I want the fans to come on all the time.
Well, basically, all you gotta do, like I said, is on that power wire, going to the fans. All you gotta do is run it to 15 power. 15 power is key. 30 would be straight battery. So it's really not that difficult. You just gotta look at the wiring diagram.
Actually, if you find the relay, 87 switches negative, 87A switches positive. So
you
could just
see what relay it is.
Yes, and you could make the adjustment at the relay terminal. Because you need the relay to switch the load.
They have things. You just got to be careful because you don't want to really spread the terminal out on the fuse box. But they have where, a terminal in will fit on the bottom that when you plug it in,
your
wire to. I have one of those in the tool truck for the rear AC unit. That's how that's hooked. I mean, that's how it came from when they installed the rear AC unit.
Oh, wow, they used that. That's how they installed instead of.
That's how they tapped into it. And they just run the wire right from that, that area.
Yeah,
I mean, from that relay, like Ray was saying, would come. So when I flip the switch, then it comes on. That's where it's getting its power. The 15.
So my question is you mentioned when you turn the AC on, so it's running hot when you turn the AC on, like the fans shut off when you turn the AC on, but under regular driving without the AC, it doesn't do that.
I don't know. I haven't driven the car around, but I know if it's sitting, like when I start, it's weird. I think something's going on with the ECU. Probably some bad sensor or something. Because I'll start the car up, the fan will be on, the AC will be on, it'll be running for a while, it'll be fine, and all of a sudden, the fan just shut off. AC is still going. Well, at a certain point, the AC shuts off because it just gets too much pressure. Right? It gets too hot. The pressure gets too high. But the fans don't come back on. I'm like, what the heck? And it blew the fan fuse once, and I replaced it. Like it had those big, it's like a 40 amp maybe, and I replaced that. But now I'm just like, I just want these fans to stay on. I don't care when we turn the AC. We're in Florida; it needs to run all the time anyway.
You might want to get an air comb and blow out the condenser and the radiator because you probably have a whole bunch of sand build up and you're having an airflow problem.
Oh, that could be. I don't know. I'm trying to remember how much work.
Especially with that old of a vehicle, because you can also see if you had a set of gauges on it and see if you're actually building too much pressure.
I have gauges. I can put them on there.
You can see, and you can also just take your garden hose, and while you have the gauge on there, and this is going
hose it down,
hose off the condenser and see, because it's it may be a. I don't want to really get a complex problem, but you could have something triggering something on down the road.
I'll show you how simple that circuit can be. All right, so
full screen this sucker.
Up here is your relay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, actually that's the fuse box.
Uh-huh.
That's the cooling fan.
Yep.
and then goes down to that's the radiator cooling. That's the sensor,
Okay.
and it all ends at ground. Just that's it.
Huh.
This is right from the factory Fiat wiring
Yeah.
diagram.
Yeah.
Because I know that my car, that's how that car works.
So what I would look at is if it runs with the AC on when you turn the AC. What I would do simplistically is to see which wire triggers when the AC goes on at the fan.
Yeah.
And then when it kicks off, see if you've got power to that wire, because maybe it's the fan motor itself overloading and shutting down the fans.
Oh, pulling too much.
Brian,
Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
like this. Remember to see just the ground
yeah.
page, roll the
Yep.
different grounds.
Now the other thing is you said that you hooked it to the 30 amp fuse. Did you have a relay in between?
At first, no.
Because that would
Because it was just easier to just go.
There. Yeah, that would have popped the fuse right there. So like the setup that Ray and Brian were talking about with that
The relay.
temp
Yeah.
piece, that has a relay with it. I've got one on my Blazer when I put it the electric fans before.
Actually, Coach is right on. I mean, it could be that once it builds up heat and it's kind of like
the motor could stop.
Well, the motor, it's almost like a GMs were real famous for this, and so is Ford's. I mean, they all do it. Electronic fuel pumps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll come in and the car will have a blown fuse for a fuse pump for the fuel pump, and you're like, you replace the fuse and the car starts up and runs and everything's great. But if you don't put you can put an amp meter on it and see how many amps you're pulling, because once it heats up and gets to a certain load, then it it has that problem. It could be. I know you don't want to put a lot of money in it, but instead of complicating or it might just be a bad fan motor.
Yeah.
That you can
pull too much of a load.
Pulling too much of a load.
I think I might have put a new fan on that thing, but I'm saying a new fan. It was some cheap China fan.
Right.
I know I didn't spend a lot of money.
But like I said, I mean, sometimes we overcomplicate things where just because we wanted to make it look like Christmas and string lights all over the place or wiring, like I said, putting an amp meter on and see what you're pulling for amps, just to, that could be something simple instead of causing more of a trouble, because usually 9 times out of 10 it's usually fairly simple or a bad ground.
Right. You get a kick out of this. I found when I bought that manual, I saved a receipt. So I had bought the electrical diagram manual, and I also bought one Bosch L-Jetronic injection book to diagnose the L-Jetronic on my 81 that I had.
Your reality?
No, the on my Fiat.
Oh,
the 81 had the injection. That was 80 was 80 was the first year, but 79 was a swing year. So like the 79 I have has a carburetor. It's an early 79. Some late 79s actually got injection, and then the 80s had it, but I heard some early 80s had carburetors. But so you know what? We're talking about wiring and plugs. Let's pull a plug on this broadcast so it doesn't overload YouTube and Lewis's feed, and we'll continue on privately. So for playing traffic loosely, Ray Guarino, Maco Man, Brian, of course, Justin, Isaac, whoever that guy is in the green shirt, Keith.
We had names right there.
We had Jim. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, and we'll be back next week, and maybe I'm gonna have Lake Speed on the radio show on Sunday. Lake Speed Jr., and I'm going to try and get him onto this show. So you want to get some oil technology, man, he's the guy. He's the tribologist. Wow. So, all right, we'll end this now, and we'll stay, and then we'll be back next week.
See you guys. See you next week, everybody.
See you.